Hi, everybody, and welcome to our next episode of the weekly SDSU Center for Autism Research Spotlight. We're here to highlight all the great research that's being conducted by our center members, and also to take advantage of the stay-at-home orders that we are experiencing right now during this COVID-19 pandemic. We really just want to showcase the work that our center is doing in the San Diego autism community. My name is Janice Chan, and I'm the administrative coordinator at the center.
My name is Vinton Omaleki. I'm the community engagement director at the center. And today we are speaking with Dr. Jessica Suhrheinrich, associate professor in the Department of Special Education and an investigator at the Child and Adolescent Service Research Center and an executive team member of the Center for Autism. So thank you so much, Jessica, for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So our first question is, could you just talk briefly about generally what area of autism research you focus in?
Sure. My research is focused on system services and delivery of services for individuals with autism across the lifespan. We are interested in how we can understand the mechanisms that support high quality delivery of evidence-based practices and how we can improve the implementation process so that those high quality practices are available to individuals with autism within community-based service programs.
What are some of those mechanisms you're talking about?
There are many, but what we're focused on exploring is different drivers of implementation that have to do with successful programming. So things like strong leadership and supportive leadership, access to necessary resources, high quality training and coaching for providers who are learning new practices, and overall fit within the structure of the organization or the way that services are delivered.
Okay. And so my next question is, so why is this research important? And kind of like, why does it excite you to do this?
I think this is really the piece that connects having research-supported interventions, effective interventions that we know lead to behavioral change, and the day-to-day services that people receive. So there has been a historic gap in quickly moving research findings into clinical practice or community programs. And because of that, people are not often receiving the most high quality care or educational services that we know to be effective. So by focusing on service delivery and by focusing on improving implementation processes, we can shorten that window of time between new discoveries of effective practices and regular access to all within public programming.
Cool. How did you get into this line of work? What did your professional background kind of look like?
Well, when I was an undergraduate student in college, I had some initial clinical experience providing behavioral supports to very young children with autism. After graduating, I became a teacher through the Teach for America program and had the experience of trying to learn new teaching techniques and feeling frustrated by the quality of support students in both general education and special education programming were receiving. So when I was thinking toward graduate school, I was interested in combining those two interests of services for individuals with autism and teacher preparation and teacher supports long-term to improve the quality of overall educational services. Since then, I have focused both at the teacher provider training level and then more broadly within organizational systems to try to again, bring those high quality evidence-based practices into regular care and educational programming.
Great.
So can you tell us a little about your most recent projects, and then also what do you hope to do in the future?
Sure. Well, let me first reference what the background. I am part of the California Autism Professional Training and Information Network, and much of my current work, research and clinical, is focused on supporting this organization. So I'm one of the executive team members, and I focus specifically on research and outreach to higher education as one arm of the work of CAPTAIN. And I'll show you some of the resources related to CAPTAIN a little bit later in the interview, but the work that I'm doing right now is exploring some of the mechanisms within CAPTAIN that have to do with effective training and scale up of evidence-based practices across systems statewide within this, the state of California. So this is taking a regionalized approach in terms of training and providing networks of expertise around evidence-based practice for autism, but then also engaging with local leaders within key agencies and statewide leadership to create a strong interagency collaboration, all focused on provision of evidence-based practices. So with that foundation, a couple of the projects that we're working on right now that I'm excited about have to do with gathering information about how implementation happens of new programs across the state and across organizational levels. So we've engaged with teachers, other service providers, specialists and mid-level professionals, and agency or school district leaders in order to understand what resources are needed, who's actively involved in implementation of new programs, what barriers or challenges they face, and the kinds of outcomes they're experiencing. So we'll be able to use this information to understand what's working and what's not, and hopefully develop specific interventions at the organizational level to improve that process of implementation and scale up. So that's one project. Another new project that I'm excited about, which was recently funded by the Office of, or Organization for Autism Research, OAR, has to do with improving access to training and coaching for providers who support adults with autism in day program and community program, day programs and community service programs. So with this specific population of providers, there's often very little training and ongoing support in terms of professional learning and professional development. And most of the resources that have been developed specifically around evidence-based practices for autism have been more aimed toward the younger population, so children and adolescents. So the resources that we're developing in partnership and in collaboration with regional center partners and family partners are going to be geared at improving and supporting providers of adults with autism.
That's really great. In the focus groups we held as part of this center, a lot of requests came about with regards to services for adults, both from adults with autism themselves and caregivers. So it's really great to see that researchers even within our San Diego State community are involved in that, in developing that process. You mentioned that you had some resources to share, and so we were hoping you might be able to just shed some light on some trusted resources that you would recommend for people who are interested in learning about evidence-based practices or anything with regards to adult services as well.
Okay, great. Yes, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And what we're looking at now is the main page of the CAPTAIN website of the organization I was discussing. This organization is run in partnership with the Marin County special education local plan area. So you can see both of the icons here. So this is a nice starting point for accessing evidence-based practice. And I'll just scroll down a bit. If you go to the quick links, there are links to many other organizations, which I'm guessing some of your audience are with: the National Professional Center for Autism, Clearinghouse on Autism EBPs, and then specific resources. There are some nice resources that are available in multiple languages that have been, they're specific to Captain and beyond. There are some resources focused on early identification of developmental delays or need for screening for autism. But what I want to point you to right now, which is a bit more timely, is two Padlets or collections of resources that are specific to some of the needs that have come up with regard to COVID-19 and virtual education and supports. So all of these resources are available in English and in Spanish. And you can just go to the website and click on the Padlet. And within this, there are resources that are geared at explaining what COVID-19 or current health concerns are to individuals with autism. There are supports for home learning and virtual education for parents, as well as for educators, and then a collection of apps or other resources. And this is being updated on a regular basis as new resources are generated. There are also links to specific learning modules. So if there's an interest in learning about specific evidence-based practices, these are interactive learning modules that can be a nice way to gain some new information while we are stuck at home for a while.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Jessica. We really appreciate that. We will make sure to post these links underneath the video, and then we'll be sharing these on our social media pages throughout the coming weeks. Thank you, Dr. Suhrheinrich, Suhrheinrich, for sharing your expertise with our community. We really appreciate your time and the impact that you're making in our community and beyond. So to the audience, if you want to learn more about our center and our center members, you can find us at autism.sdsu.edu.
Or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our handle is at SDSU Autism. And we'll see you next week for our next Research Spotlight. Until then, we hope that you stay safe, healthy, and connected to people that you love.